our new segment, Dueling Mics with JDUBBS, because, well, I have unlimited access to Amazon Prime and I'm unsupervised because, well, I don't know. They just let me go and do whatever I want. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special guest for you. Please welcome Miss Christina Ramos. She has her own podcast of the South Florida Sisters. How are you doing, Christina?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How's the weather down there?
Sure, it's a lot better than some of the northern states right now. Well, we're calling a cold front. I'm sure people will get upset to hear it went down to, I think, 50 yesterday, and it was freezing.
Geez. Geez. Yeah, it was pretty windy up here in New York, and it's supposed to get down to like the 20s in a couple of days. So I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that you're really busy. You have a lot going on in your life. So I want to say thank you for taking some time out. Well, let's talk about you as a person, from where you came from and how you got involved to do a podcast.
Sure. Well, I like to tell everybody where I've come from. So have always been telling everybody all my stories and I would tell them things that I've gone through, and they would always find it so intriguing. So I was like, you know what? Why not start podcasts? And me and my sister would joke, we're like, oh, if they seen our family, that would sell off the shelves. So that kind of brought me there. And then also, I also want, like, because I have more than one podcast we're working on. We have South Florida Sisters, and then we have the Real Florida Premiere. And the Real Florida Premiere is more based on like housing issues and trying to get housing, because we have a charity that we're just getting off the ground. It's called Charity Realty. It's using real estate investments to then take the money we make off of that and then take it and give people for like down payments or first last security, or it might just be, sometimes it might be small, like just deposits for utilities if they just need to get their water turned on or electric or something. And then just holds a place in my heart. I've been through quite a transition over the last decade and a half of my life. So I feel calling to really give back. Like, looking at me now and then looking at me 15 years ago, I'm just a completely different person. A little background on myself. I had I was a party animal. This is the nicest way to say it. And I didn't know how to pick the right friends. And I put myself in the position to be around people that weren't really my friends, that had a lot of issues. And at one point I had gotten involved with somebody that had, really bad substance issues, and it led to them abducting me and breaking my nose, my ribs, many body parts. And then they, at one point, had said, well, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm either going to kill you or I'll give you a head start and you could tuck and roll out of this vehicle. And I chose to tuck and roll because I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to live. And so I tucked and rolled out of the vehicle on this very, very slow highway. There's not a lot of people out in that area. But somebody was watching over me that night, because as I went through this swamp and I was trying so hard, I hear the person yelling for me, like saying my name, like, oh, Christina, I'm gonna kill you, just out of like one of those scary movies type of things. And when you're going through it, and you can watch those movies and you're like, don't do this. Why are you doing that? But when you're going through it, it's crazy how different it is, because you're just thinking survive, survive, survive. And I somehow made it to this other highway that led into the road, and I seen the lights like far down, and I was like, oh my God, this is my chance. There's one car, the only one I seen. I'm like, I looked like something out of a scary movie. I had blood dripping down my face, and they stopped. Thanks, thankfully. And they were probably nervous. They seen some scary looking girl that God knows what I looked like, coming out of the swamp all wet and bloody. And they opened up the hatch to their truck, and one of them sat back there with me, put a blanket over me, and they helped me track down the sheriffs in that town. And they saved my life. They really did. I would love to find them today. I think about them like, man, I wish I would have gotten their names or something, because they don't realize they saved me. And the other part of this story that I almost left out was the person that had done that had my infant son in the back seat. So the whole thing was like petrifying, because all I knew was, oh my God, if I don't get somewhere safe where I can get to the police, I don't know what's going to happen to my kid. And the cops ended up doing roadblocks and everything. And my son was brought back safe and sound. And it was honestly one of those things that I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, you see all these movies and you're like, oh, that never happens. But if you've seen my life and my life choices back then and men, you're like, oh, it does happen, because I managed to choose people like that several times in my life. And the same, they say, why do you stay, or why do you be around that? I went through that typical abuse cycle where they would be like, oh, if you leave, I'm going to kill you, or I'll kill your, back then it was the one threat. It was like, I'm going to kill your parents. That makes me want to cry. But, that was really hard. The idea of like, I don't know. I looked at my parents as, I didn't realize how strong they were then. Now I look, they were very strong people, and I should have been like, no, you're not going to kill my parents. Like, you're crazy. You're manipulating me. But I didn't know that. You fall into believing what they're telling you. So through that moment, and then finally getting my son back, I'd make this conscious decision to just change everything. And it was hard. I went through a lot of anxiety issues for years after that, like lots of anxiety, a lot of trust issues. And it was really hard to get back on my feet, learning how to be a single mom and things like that. And I ended up going back to school, getting my college degree, and had another hiccup along the way where I realized that if something reoccurs, it's something in you. It's not necessarily the people. And I realized when I was picking out people, I'm like, all right, well, obviously there's something they're seeing in me that they're like, oh, this person's, so I'm like, what am I either settling for, or putting out there that's making these people think, oh, well, I can, hurt her or take advantage of her. And I realized that I had to make some changes, and I realized that therapy worked. And I started working on myself. And I started, really paying attention to my part in those things, like the boundaries that I lacked completely. And it really, it's crazy, because now I can look back and talk about a lot of it and really be like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, it's like, I won't even cry so much, because I went through such intense, like, studying myself and really like talking about it out loud and trying to work my way through some of those stories that I've now told them over and over again. And in all of that, I realized like how much I wanted to, like, as I was becoming a single mom, learning to pay my bills. And I was really lucky to have family, a very good support system. My father, God rest his soul, was an amazing man and always helped me. Like, even if it was like, financial or anything of that way, like moving, whatever it may be, not everybody has that. So that's why I really got drawn to the charity, and I really wanted to be able to help people, because I was like, if I didn't have that support system, I don't know if I would have walked away from those type of scenarios.
I'm just
So,
making notes, just so you know. I'm not ignoring. I'm just making notes as you go along. So,
oh, no problem.
um,
So,
I just want to take a minute and say,
yeah.
how courageous and brave you are, not only for what you did 15 years ago, but to come on a live show on live air, knowing it's going to go over like 12 or 15 different platforms of social media, and say what you just said, spoke from the heart. I just want to tell you that I absolutely admire you, and I respect what you just did. I know that we were talking pre-show, and we were just going over just a little bit of stuff, but to hear how you put it, it just I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that Good Samaritan helped you, and maybe one day, like you said, everybody that was there that night will come back in your life, and you'll be able to thank them in person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't live near there, so I guess it doesn't matter. I'll say where it is. If somebody ends up knowing somebody, if anybody knows somebody that lived by a Lecanto Highway in Beverly Hills, Florida, and they ever talked about a crazy story where they picked up a bloody girl on the side of the running into the highway, I would love to be in touch with them. I would love to say thank you. So if that, I know that sometimes the internet could do crazy things. People will find it. That would be amazing for me. Because, I think about that. I'm like, so you ever think here, like, with like that one moment, it could really change your life. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think about that a lot. I'm like, wow, like that could have went so different. Like if they weren't there, they saved my life. They saved my life. And essentially they also at that time saved that person's life, because that person with their issues at the time would have done something that they couldn't have taken back.
Right.
Um, sorry, that makes me emotional.
Oh, that's
I went
okay.
through a
Take your
lot
time.
of forgiveness in that too, because a lot of people are always, they're like, oh, how can you forgive somebody that does that? But I understand that there's two sides of every story, and addiction and how it changes people. And I don't believe that person would have done the actions that they did if they didn't have those issues. And I'm just so grateful for those people. Um, but bringing it back to now, just how far I've come from there, it's so crazy, because I was such uh like, I had no self-esteem at all. Like, I didn't think I was worth anything. I really didn't. I like it took Then I would have told you it was because of my child. And that's what it took. Sometimes it doesn't, everybody says you have to do things for yourself, but sometimes you don't have that. And I didn't. But now I've become just such a stronger person because of everything I went through. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of it would have been nicer if it was changed, but I think everything happened for a reason. And I think it did make me a stronger, more resilient human being in the long run. Um, And
Yeah.
hopefully now I'll end up helping people, and it'll turn into something beautiful out of something very ugly.
Oh, definitely. Before we talk about your other podcast about the charity, which is, as you were describing, I was just in awe. I also want to, commend you and show you the respect of, one of the words I wrote down is when you were talking in the beginning is the accountability. There's a lot of people in this world that just blame everybody else, and you you made it sound like you took accountability because you started to look at things differently, started to choose surroundings and friends, and for that, I just got to applaud you. I'm not like trying to blow smoke up your butt or whatever. I'm just saying, this
Yeah.
day and age, nobody wants to take a lot of accountability, and I just admire that about you. And when I was listening to you, I was smiling because you were dealt this hand, and you're in the process of making a paying it forward and making a big difference. And if you would like, and if you can, if you would like to talk about your charity podcast, that which will
Yeah.
be uploaded in this video, so everybody can find you, and if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, they can find me on the charity on Facebook, Charity Realty. Um, what we do is we just take investments. We also take direct donations as well, but we invest in, like, auction properties, for instance. And it's kind of cool because instead of having just one way of being able to give back, we do it in more than one way. So we'll buy these, just make easy numbers. Let's say I would buy a condo at $20,000. Instead of a typical investor will be like, all right, well, it's worth 300,000. We'll sell it way below market to somebody that really can't afford, perhaps. Like, maybe we have a couple of applications, and I'm sure the applicant will mind. Like, one of them is a disabled veteran, and he's been wanting a place, and he, unfortunately, because of, the prices of what things are right now, like, can't. So we can then find him a place, buy it below market value. And instead of having a huge markup, we make just enough so that then we can go back and give back again. Whereas we'll take some to buy again, but we'll also take some to give people towards down payments, or like I said earlier, like maybe it might just be a first month's rent. It could be something so simple. Might even be moving trucks or little things that just, are just enough where it's like, man, I can't do it because I can't afford to move out of this house. Or I'm hoping that if any, people that are in abused situations reach out to me, if I can help you get out of that, whether it's the moving truck and rent, and we have some people collaborating with us to help make those things happen. So it's really, it's what I wanted to do, is what I'm called to do, is to help. And
Oh,
it kind of worked great because I love my job in real estate. So I wanted to be able to do both. So I was able to take my job, what I love, and then twist it into a way where I can also help people, which that's something that anybody that knows me, I have like this bleeding heart for everybody. I would give you my shirt off my back if I could. And I'm really excited because we just pretty much launched everything, and it's kind of like a 15 years in the making. Like I just found the one thing that would work, and this is super exciting.
I'm just making notes. The reason why I'm smiling and shaking my head is because you can tell the sincerity in your voice, and how you are talking, and that just gets me going, because I love when people have a goal, they have a dream, they have something that they just wanted to do. And is this particular charity just exclusive for the state of Florida, or is it anywhere in the U.S.?
We're starting in Florida just because it's where we have contacts, with the plan that will hopefully grow like anybody else will grow and be able to give to more and more and more. Um, Not to say that we wouldn't, on a smaller scale, because we're not doing we don't have certain licensing in other states, but if there is this particular situation that somebody has going on, definitely reach out and we'll see what we could do, because we do have some contacts in New York and some other states. So I wouldn't put that on the complete back burner, because it's something we would try to do, if we can accommodate and help somebody. I mean, sometimes even it might be simple. I've seen people, just with applications for rentals, they might be, it adds up. You apply to all these places and they're like, oh, 150 here, 150 here. And then all of a sudden they're like, now I need first, last security. And you're like,
Yeah.
geez,
You, you
I
know, I just I can't I apologize to interrupt you. I just cannot tell you, like, when somebody's going to watch this video and they're going to say, wait a minute, there's this charity out there that could potentially help me with a moving truck, or getting my water turned on, like you said, or the first month. I'm telling you right now, this video is just going to help people just know that, wait a minute, there are people out there that are willing to help. And this is just awesome. I know when we were talking about doing the podcast, and I was taking some notes, I had no idea the magnitude that this is going to have on people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. And then it goes further than that, where we even will help you if some people just don't know how to access other resources, like applying for, let's say, Section 8 housing or food stamps, anything. Like, so we have things like that where we have volunteers that will help you with that. So it's really cool. And we are always looking for volunteers. So if anybody wants to do that, let me know. We definitely are always looking for volunteers, even if it's anything. It could sometimes be help with our website. If you need hours for something, that works as well. We are a 501c nonprofit. We can give you your hours if you have any, volunteer hours required for school or college or anything like that. That's fine as well. The more the help, the more we can give. So it's
Absolutely. This is like just growing bigger and bigger, because maybe somebody's watching this, be like, oh, hey, I could actually help out. And this is
yeah.
just absolutely amazing. Um, do you want to talk about your other podcast, the History Rewired?
That's gonna be so fun. We just taped our first one the other day. We didn't put it out yet. Um, that that comes out of like what I was telling you before we started taping about the car. I would have these chats. My son, and I'm not just because he's my son. He's very smart. He's a brilliant kid, and you'll see when if you watch History Rewired, when we start putting it out there in the first week of April. He's just very smart. And I used to fact check him because I was like, there's no way my kid's this smart. Because it started on a drive home from the Carolinas. And we're bored. It's night. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to name a country and I want you to give me from the beginning of time till now. Every war they've had, there any dynasties, he could do it. I was spitting out every country. This kid could do it from memory. I'm like, this is amazing. This has got to be shared with people. So that's kind of how that grew. So that's really more of his thing. And I'm just more of the editing person, just helping him get that started. And then the South Florida Sisters, that's because of the crazy life that I've gone through, some wild things, like I said, with my poor decisions and partners, which I do want to change. I do want to add in my current partner, my fiance, is the most amazing man. And I don't want anybody to get that wrong. I feel like I made a lot of mistakes in choosing it, and I really was conscious in this decision of choosing the right person. I couldn't ask for a better partner in life. So I didn't want to put that out there. But me and my sister realized we had some, some crazy stories. So that's really where that one came from. And there's a lot of females in our family. I have a lot of nieces that are all sisters. So we were like, we can have different sisters every week on the show and have their crazy stories, and it'll be really fun. So that's where that one is. The original start of all of the podcasts, though, was the Real Florida premiere, which was about the home ownership and helping people own homes and about the charity and things like that. So it's got three. You got the Real Florida premiere, South Florida Sisters, and then you got the history of Rewired. So I just really try to keep myself busy. Is what that
It sounds
is.
good. And all of these links will be uploaded to everything, so everybody will be able to find you. I really I love history, but I don't know if I could tell you all the wars and all that. But I'm really interested in the, not only the charity one, but the South Florida Sisters, because I would love to hear stories. Who
It's
doesn't
going
like
to
to
be
hear
interesting.
stories, right?
We've got a few that I'm sure people are going to be like, "Oh wow." I asked my sister, are you okay with people not liking you? Because sometimes people, are very opinionated. I'm like, and it could go, you think that it could go one way, it could go another. And she's like, "No, I'm gonna watch what I say." I'm like, "That's not fun. Don't watch what you say. We gotta be really transparent if we're gonna do this." So it's gonna be really
Absolutely.
cool. I'm so excited for everything we get on there as we're recording. Uh, and also through the learning process of podcasting, anybody that I'm sure and anybody else that's listening, it's a learning curve, as I kind of wish we had cameras following us as we were learning it, like trying to set up the walls and dropping things and buying all different microphones and not knowing how to put them together. And like you said, Amazon, that's
Yeah.
dangerous. We
You're
bought a lot
preaching
of
to the
stuff,
choir, preaching to the
but
choir, because like I said, I would just buy duplicate stuff and I'd be like, ah, dang it, and then so um
yeah,
the other thing I wrote down about you, Christina, was you own your own company.
yes, yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I'll just give you a background. It's Florida Premier Realty. It is a
Sure.
family owned and operated real estate company, but I can't take the founder credit. The original owners, it was my father and one of his good friends, Mark, and my father and Mark both have since passed. I was really blessed when I okay, this comes with an even extra story on top of this. So I worked as a nurse. So after I'd gotten out on my own with my son and I was getting my life back together, I went to school to become a nurse. Well, I have a very what's the word, like a very strong moral compass. Like if somebody's doing something wrong, I can't help myself. I just really can't help myself. And I had seen doctors doing illegitimate charges, and
Wow.
it's like career suicide if you tell on like really important doctors. Apparently, like they all know each other. So once I
Oh,
had known, like, all right, I'm basically gonna snitch on them because it hurt me. It was cancer patients, and I was seeing patients not get the care properly over money. So it was
oh,
really just that it bothered me. I was like, man, these people deserve treatment. Just because you can't charge for more than three of the treatment areas, you're going to postpone treatment of that. And that's wrong. That's not how it should be. And that's not how a lot of doctors operate. It just happened to be this doctor did this and the group of them. And I was like, oh, and I told my dad that day, I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell on them. I probably am not going to have a job if I tell on them. So this is many years ago, and I'd already dipped and dabbled with the real estate world. I was already doing like virtual tours and transaction coordinating for my father, and I was doing some like bookkeeping work. So I was like, can I get like a full-time job with you? Like I'm probably gonna need one after this. So I was really lucky. It was over 10 years ago, and I wasn't nursing for that long, and I ended up transitioning into the real estate world full time. And not long after that, a few years after that, my dad's partner had passed away. And then my father and I had given me a lot more responsibility managing the company and whatnot, and then part ownership. And then last year, me and my father running the company together. Just last October, my father passed away. So now I'm full owner. And, people definitely are looking at me, they're like, wow, how do you not crack? You've been literally beaten, thrown out of vehicles, and you name it, and you just keep going. And I'm like, well, I don't really think I have another option for the first, but like most of my life, it's been to make my father proud. This is where I get tearful, but um, most of it's because to make my dad proud. And now with him gone, I look at it even more so to make him proud and do everything. They say, what would Jesus do? Well, I want to do what my dad would do because is, my parents are amazing. My dad was one of the most amazing men I've ever met in my life. So, every step forward with the company that I take is with what he would have wanted, or with like, I kind of do this thing my fiance told me, because I was like, man, I really wish I can ask my dad what he would want me to do with whatever it may be. And he's like, but you could do that. He's like, just close your eyes. Like, you were really close with him. Close your eyes and ask the question. He's like, you'll know what your dad would say. So I find myself doing that a lot. And the company's doing great. Like, we're still doing good. We have some really loyal, amazing people that work for us. Many of us are like family. We've been together for over 10 years. So, if anybody's in real estate, they know that in this business, that doesn't happen a lot. A lot of people like to jump around. We have really, really great people that work with us. So it's right now we're staying family owned and operated, and I don't foresee to ever change that. My plan is to grow, because the more I grow, the more I can have the ability to help more people. And that's kind of like my whole thing. I joke around with everybody. I'm like, just if I get rich, I'm like, our compound will just get bigger, because like my dream plan is just to have a big compound so that everybody I know and love could put their own little house on it, and they'll all have a place they can call home at the end of the day. So it's really.
Absolutely. I just want to, on a personal note, cancer is, I hate the fact that we just don't have a cure yet, and I've lost loved ones, including my mom. I just want to say thank you for having the backbone to say, I know this is my job, but this isn't right, because me personally, I just think all medical should be free, because some people, I don't care. I just want to say thank you for doing that. I know what you risked. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for sharing that live on this show. And I don't tend to get emotional or taken back, but when you had said that, your fiance told you to close your eyes and talk to him, you know, I got lost just for a brief second, just thinking, like, sometimes I just wish I could hear my mom's voice one more time. So I just might have to do that. And I'm glad that you shared that. That's very deep. And again, I commend you for having that courage to share and to say what you're saying. And I just know that whoever watches this show, it's going to impact lives. And that's what, one of the basis of our podcast is about, is impacting lives. And I cannot, you started the show off with where you were 15 years ago, and here you are now. I can't wait to see where you are 1 year from now.
I can't wait to see how far the charity goes, and I just can't wait to have the videos of everybody that we help to be able to share those. That's exciting for me.
I would love to see that. I would like, how you had said that you wish you had cameras from the beginning. I would absolutely just love just to sit there and just watch success. Some people don't have the down payment for a house or the first month's rent, but it could mean the world. It could mean, getting out to being able to take that next step. And I would just love to see that. Please, definitely post those
Absolutely.
videos.
Oh, I will. I'll share it. I'm going to tell you one more thing before we end up, running out
Nope.
of time. So at the beginning, when I first started doing real estate, I forgot who it was for. It was like a client. They didn't have money for rent or whatever. They didn't have enough. And, we get like a half a month rent in commission about, depending on where you're working. And if it's your listing, and if they don't have a person, you can get up to a full month. And I'll never forget, like, these people would come to you with these stories, and I remember telling my mom, like, I didn't take a commission on this deal. I gave them rent to the person. She's like, you realize that real estate's to make money, right? And I'm like, yeah, but like, how do you say no to somebody that really needs you? Like, I just can't. I definitely, it took a long time to figure it out, but I found a way to be able to do that, to be able to give it to people. And that's what I wanted to do, is be able to help them. I love the idea of just being able to give back. That's my thing. I found my thing. Everybody
That
looks for that.
is that is incredible. And um, do you know how many people in this world would not have thought to do something like that? I mean, that is just amazing. Seriously. You have a heart of gold, like you said. You said a bleeding heart, but the world needs more kindness. And I don't know the person you help, and I never will. But I'm just imagining that this person, for that month or that week or that day, that financial stress was taken away. And as we all know, if you have financial stress, it could really, really be a burden, just to put it mildly. And so
Yeah.
I absolutely respect what you did there. Um, just one important question before I let you go. Earlier in the show, you said if anybody needs to reach out to you, they could.
Yes.
Now, when this gets uploaded to Amazon and all that, I am going to put your links in.
Hmm.
Um, is there a designated way you want them to get a hold of you? I mean, any other social media, or just go
They
through
could
one
do
of
any
your?
social media. If they look at Charity Realty, it's like the blue little logo with the house. If they message through there, you can get in touch with me that way, is just fine, or charityrealtyinvestments.com. But we'll put all the links in there, and then they can get in touch with me any which way of those. But if they want to get to me, go to Charity Realty on the Facebook one, and that's probably the best way to get me.
Definitely, definitely. So listen, I know you bet you've had a long day, obviously. I just want you to take like a minute or two, and just, in your own words, just speak from the heart of however you want to end this show.
Okay. No matter where you are in your life, the best thing that I could think of is think of where you want to go. Don't stay in the place where you are. And every day to wake up, and even if you just take one action to be a step closer to where you want to be. And that's really how I try to live my life. And if there's anybody that's in any type of situation and they need to get out of it, please, please, I beg to reach out to me. I'm not, whatever I could do for you, I will try to do for you. That's really where I want to leave it.
That is awesome. You know what? I'm not gonna add any more to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Christina Ramos for taking time out of her busy schedule. I know that you probably just been on the go from the time you got up to now. I want to say thank you. I cannot wait to see where you are a year from now. Maybe we can come back and do some more shows.
Yeah.
Get your links out there, and spread the message of your charity work. And I just want to say thank you. But this has been JDUBBS for JK'z Rewatchable Hour. I'm going to end the show. I can't think of a better way to end this show with what you just said. So I'm going to stop recording 1 second.
You've just stumbled upon JK'z Rewatchable Hour.